So I think the idea that the main underlying idea is still just where is our practice? Where has our practice been? How do we adapt when we're having a situation that we're unfamiliar with? Or, of course, the situations that are going to have the most momentum are the ones where there's the most attachment. And our attachment to our own lives is something that we can't escape. I'm attached to existence, and it causes me suffering sometimes to think about non-existence. Hey, that's something that I have to work out. That's my garden to tend to, no one else's. I'm just being honest about it. I really enjoy existence. And the great thing about this practice is it's all principle based. So you actually don't even have to think about solutions. You don't even have to think about any of the stuff we're talking about right now. You just have to do your practice and it will work out because the principle of the universe dictates that it will. So here's a fond thought, and maybe it's something that we could talk more about, especially after I'm graduated and licensed. But in chapter 8 of the Suen, which is one of the oldest medical textbooks, and it's not a textbook, but medical writings uh, in the world, Suen, Huande Neijing, these are the oldest manuscripts of written words on health and wellness. Well, not wellness, but medicine. Wellness is a newly emerging word, which is cool. It's a fun word. But in this book, in chapter 8, it says that all disease originates with Shen, spirit, emotion. All disease. If Shen, spirit, and emotion are strong, a person cannot get sick. They'll still get old, and they'll still pass away in their sleep effortlessly someday. They won't live to 1,000 years. There's no immortality. That violates principle. So we're not talking about any of that crap. But what we are talking about is principally if emotion and spirit can be a cause of pathology, emotion and spirit can be a way to rebalance, prevent, and address pathology. And that's what this practice ultimately will help a person do. The way that that looks is the more that a person does their 4 directions acutely, the more it will affect the elongated momentum of their life. So the more consistent, the more momentum and energy that is behind their everyday practice, the more they're going to, and especially if a person was to do it the way that I describe it, I'm sure there's other ways to get to this practice or this way of looking at it. Again, I'm probably not unique in putting things together, but one of the things that I focus on personally is creating the bubble of perception. The bubble of perception is a result of 4 strong directions of attention. So if Ida's like, I've been trying really hard to create my bubble of perception, I would say, don't do that. Stop trying. It's not a try thing. And I'm not saying you would, Ida. It's just, you were helping this conversation along. So I tend to go back to you. The bubble of perception exists whether you like it or not. Donna is creating a bubble of perception. If she's lost in thoughts and worries and woe is me, and well, that bubble of perception is very tiny inside of her brain. And the exterior portion of the bubble of perception is, you know, below the threshold of recognition. It is unconscious, which is always a part of our bubble of perception. So that's okay too. No worries. We can adapt. We can work with the conscious and unconscious aspects because there's both happening simultaneously all the time. We can't escape one if we have the other. We can't have the other without the one. They rely, they transform, they depend on one another to exist. So the idea is that the 4 directions will create a bubble of perception that is filled with awareness, that's filled with attention, and it gives a person the opportunity to fill it. So I'm sure you see where I'm going with this, but just to check in, does that make sense? So the 4 directions will create a bubble of perception that's full of awareness. And depending on how you do it, it could be full of personal power. It could be full of spirit energy. Just depends. And spirit energy, I'm just being very general because personal power it's a force of momentum. The exact same thing that we've been talking about. Earth around the sun is a force of momentum. A fist going through the air is a force of momentum. A thought is a force of momentum. The impetus of an idea, the impetus of an action is a force of momentum. So what I have learned to do, and we'll see, because I have some physical abnormalities to contend with, but I'm operating on the hypothesis or theory that if I fill my bubble of perception with awareness, with love and kindness and compassion, with these emotions, and we could use the word emotion, but we're feeling it, right? If we're feeling it, it has a chemical component. I don't care what you think it is. It has a chemical component if you perceive it. The perception of it is the chemical component. What you're perceiving may not be chemical at all. It could be very energy related. So Donna walks into the room and she feels the energy. Okay, the energy that came in, well, that's not necessarily emotion, right? That's energy. That's a force that we've been talking about. But if she feels it, the feeling of it is an interpretation. The feeling of it is a chemical experience. And that's okay. It's chemical, it's spiritual, it's physical, it's non-physical. Of course, it's all of those things. People say that you're not a human being, you're a spirit. No, I'm both. Like, stop trying to say I am one or the other. I am this and I'm that. I'm plus and I'm minus. And when you put those things together, you get the bubble of perception. You get a new third thing. And so I spend my days not trying to figure it out, not trying to find out how I'm going to fix myself. I fill my bubble of perception with what I want it to be. And as long as I do that, even if I don't fix myself, if I have a heart attack right now, I did it filling my bubble of perception to the best of my ability. And that is what we call impeccability, doing your best.